now we see that the sticky is finally working. Whoa, fantastic! Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Ubuntu Productions. My name is Aaron Blanco Tejedor, and in this channel I create web development tutorials with a focus on simplicity. And today's tutorial is all about troubleshooting the position sticky. How many times you needed some element to scroll down while the user scrolls down and you want to use the sticky position? You go to the element you want to make a sticky, you go to position a sticky, and it doesn't work. It has happened to me many times and it's very frustrating. And over the years, I realized that there are at least 4 simple steps that you need to go one after the other in order to troubleshoot that position sticky not working and make it work every time. But before we go to the tutorial, I want to do one disclaimer. Even though for this tutorial I'm going to use Bricks Builder, these 4 steps to troubleshoot the sticky position will work in any professional builder that allows you to modify the structural HTML elements. That means that it will work, for example, in Oxygen, it will work in Breakdance, it will work in many WordPress builders, it will work in Webflow, any professional builder, as I said, that allows you to put position sticky, that allows you to control the height of an element, and so on and so forth. That was the disclaimer. This is the part where I explain every step of the tutorial in a very fast piece to make sure that if you don't want to see the whole tutorial, you know how to troubleshoot this sticky not working. First, we want to make sure that we have a top declared to the element that we want to make a sticky. Number 1. Second, make sure that your sticky element is wrapped in a container over here. Third, make sure that the container has a position of relative and a height of 100%. The step number 4, you need to make sure that none of the parent elements to the sticky element has an overflow of hidden declared to it. In this case, our section has an overflow of hidden, and we will just change it to clip. And that's it. Now, the sticky is working. Before we start with the tutorial per se, I want to explain you the situation I encountered that made me realize that this video could be useful for many of you. A client which I have done a one-page website for her came back to me and she wanted to add more information to this right column. As the section was before, we didn't need the sticky position because the element in the left column wasn't long enough that this element over here will need to scroll. But she came back to me and now I will display the elements that she wanted me to add, a couple of boxes with the opening times and some more information about the farm. And now we see that because of the right column is so long, it will be awesome to have a sticky element in this image group. And exactly this section over here is the one that I have replicated in my tutorial environment, and we will go just to see how we fix this. We will go and take the image group and make it sticky. And we save. We preview the changes and we see that it's not working. So let's start troubleshooting this issue from the step number 1. Step number 1 of the troubleshooting. Make sure that the element that you want to make sticky has a top declared to it. Why? We want to tell the element from the top of the screen how much it has to leave before the sticky scroll starts. What I will normally do is to use the ACSS variable header height and then with a calc function add, for example, 20-30 pixels to it. But in this case, to make it much more simple, I will just add an spacing of L. We save it, we preview the changes, and we see that even though we added a top to the sticky element, it's still not working. It might be that all the other steps that we are going to cover today, they are fine in your build, and just by adding the top, your sticky is working. In that case, it would be perfect. If it doesn't work, we go to the step number 2. Step number 2, make sure that your element, in this case image group, has a wrapper to it. We wrap it and we call image group wrapper. Why we need a wrapper? Imagine that the image group that we want to make sticky is an elevator. What do we need? We need a wall. Imagine that we need to go from the floor number 10 to the floor number 0. We need a wall that contains that sticky element, and that's the wrapper. Now we have the step number 2 ready. We added a wrapper to the element, and now let's go to the step number 3 that actually in reality will be like 2.2 because it has to do with this wrapper. We will make sure in the step number 3 that this wrapper has a relative position. We need to make sure that we tell that you will be sticky with relationship to this element and not any other element. Once we have made the wrapper relative, we will make sure that wrapper covers the full height of the parent element. If we continue with the metaphor of this elevator, the sticky element like being the elevator, we need to make sure that it covers the 10 floors just to make sure that the elevator can go up and down inside these 10 floors. Otherwise, it doesn't have a space. So in this case, if I add a height of 100%, we see that the element has become big and it has taken all the height of the parent element. But not every time you add a height of 100%, the element becomes tall. In this case, it covers the whole thing. So in this case, as we have a grid, I will just to make sure, go to the grid and make sure that I stretch it. In case that you don't find a way to make this wrapper that we want to make 100%, you need to troubleshoot that part because it depends if the parent is a flex or it's a grid, it works a little bit different. And that was the step number 3 or the second part of the number 2. If we save, we see that this one has reloaded automatically, but the sticky is still not working. For most scenarios, when you come to this point, the number 3, the sticky should already work. In that case, fantastic. If it doesn't work, what's the problem now? The problem has to do with the property overflow. If any of the elements that is parent to this image group has an overflow of hidden, the sticky will never work. Let's see if I have any element with an overflow of hidden. The image group that we just created, it doesn't have an overflow of hidden because we just created it. Overflow is visible. The grid, it doesn't have an overflow of hidden, it has it visible. This container, it doesn't matter for this case because it has nothing to do with our image group. But the section, if we go down, we see that it has an overflow of hidden. Why the overflow is hidden? Because I have this SVG and the SVG is 200%. If I keep the overflow as visible, in certain devices, I will see the scroll bar, the horizontal scroll bar, because this element, this SVG, this separator is wider than the main section. In order to hide the extra size, I need to go to the overflow of the section and make it hidden. But that's the reason why our sticky is not working. But you might be wondering, Aaron, how do I hide the overflow if it will break my sticky element? That's when we change the overflow from hidden to a newer property that is called clip. If I do that, I save, and this reloads automatically, now we see that the sticky is finally working. Whoa, fantastic! We have the sticky working, we have gone through all the simple steps, and I hope that by now your sticky element is also working. If it's not working, you need to come back to these steps and make sure that you are following all of them. Normally, the one that makes more problems, more issues, is that making sure that the wrapper over here is taking the whole height of the parent. And that's it. Our sticky element is working. Yes! I hope that by now your sticky element is working properly. I hope that this tutorial was super useful for you. I hope it will save you a lot of time in your future builds. And remember that only by helping each other, only by loving each other, we can create a kinder and more beautiful world to live in. Wishing you all a beautiful day. Bye bye.